God came to us to seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us. He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Greetings. This is your brother Willie Muhammad with I Have a Testimony on National Network View. Systematic poverty implemented on Black communities has paved the way for drugs, guns, murder, and justifiable homicide by law enforcement who use those circumstances to justify racial profiling.
23-year-old man shot in the face and a 39-year-old woman shot in the back. Just before 1 a.m. Saturday, a 20-year-old man was shot in the leg on a field in Central Park. He is expected to survive. A short time later, police arrested a suspect at the corner of East 67th Street and 5th Avenue. Another shooting Saturday around 8 a.m. inside a housing development steps away from Lincoln Center. A 26-year-old man was shot in the back and leg inside the building's hallway on West 62nd Street near Amsterdam Avenue.
Since the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called for 1 million Black men to atone for being other than themselves and to accept responsibility, many have taken up the challenge and gone into action to improve our lives.
My name is Captain Dennis Muhammad. I'm the founder of the Peacekeepers. We're looking to bring an army of men in the Westchester to ask the men of Westchester to stand up and be men. There's no need for us to continue to talk about what the problem is when the solution is us being men. Accepting the responsibility to go into these communities and make it safe for our women, children, elderly. We're coming to Westchester. We need the men of Westchester to stand with us. We need the men of Westchester to put aside your religious differences, put aside your political differences, put aside your racial differences, put aside your social differences, and stand with us as we come to make peace in the streets of Westchester. I'm looking forward, Westchester. Let's do this. May God bless you and bless the Peacekeepers. My name is Captain Dennis Muhammad, and I'm President for Peace.
Today, we'll be honoring that brother that you just heard from in that video, Captain Emeritus Dennis Muhammad. And to help us with this honorable task, we have with us today the following panelists. First, we have our brother Norman Muhammad from Mosque number 36.
Peace, family.
Next, we have with us our brother Ben X from the mighty South-Best region, as we call it.
Peace.
And then we also have with us our brother Waliullah, who's the student minister of Muhammad Mosque number 8 in the beautiful city of San Diego, California.
Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, gentlemen, for agreeing to be a part of this tribute to our brother Captain Emeritus Dennis Muhammad. And let's jump right into the discussion. You know, Brother Captain, by Allah's permission, has had many powerful first impressions on people. And for me, outside of being impressed by seeing him leading the security diamond on the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the first memorable impression that Captain Dennis had on me was at the 2001 Savior's Day that was held in California. This was during FOI class. He had on that brown FOI uniform, I remember. And he spoke to the brothers prior to us being sent out to go push the event. And brothers, I tell you, I was blown away. I had seen him on different videos, but this is my first time actually hearing him. And from that moment on, he became somebody that I still admire to this day. So my first question to each of you all is, what was the first time for each of you that Captain Dennis made such a great impression on your minds? And whoever wants to share, you can say so.
Well, I'll go first.
Our big brother, there you go.
The first time I saw Captain Dennis was in North Carolina, I believe. Brother Larry Rivera, well, Muhammad X, he invited me out to North North Carolina to speak with some youth at his school. And Captain Dennis was there as well, and we met. And I was first attracted to how he spoke. He to me is a beautiful example of speaking the language of the people. He not trying to be, science you up. He's not trying to be super deep. He just gonna speak the language and just speak about men and our job and our responsibility. One of the things he always said in the barbershop is, shoot, I pay the cost to be the boss in my house. You know what I mean? So he's being a provider and just talking about the responsibility of the men and how fired up he be. He can start off, Assalamu alaikum, brother Ben, and then 5 minutes later, he fired up, talking about what we need to be doing in our community. So the way that he communicates, the way that he speaks the language, and his passion for our people, and his passion for always being able to remind me about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and staying focused and, being security minded and things of that nature. So my first impression was about how fired up he be, how he can go from literally 0 to 100 real quick, as Brother Drake says. You muted.
Brother Waliullah, what do you say? And then we'll go to Brother Norman after Brother Waliullah.
Oh, brother, first of all, thanks for having us on the show. It's an honor to give testimony of my brother and friend and colleague. Almost 40 years we've worked. I first met Brother Dennis back in 1982. I was a student at Fredonia State University, the first brother I heard teach Islam. I'm going to think even before I heard the minister, I think I heard Brother Dennis first. I've met all the Muslims in the nation that were there prior to 75. But when he came to Buffalo, he actually started the mosque there in 1982. And so he came to Fredonia State University and he spoke, and we met. He went back to my dorm room, won't go over those issues. And we started a journey then. But one of the greatest things I know about my brother and watch is the propagation of the faith, from starting the study group or the mosque there in the city of Buffalo to opening up many other mosque and study groups in that Western New York area, also into Erie, Pennsylvania, and Pittsburgh. So I see the great lover of Islam, the messenger, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and his Messiah, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and Islam has always been at the core. And even with the peacekeepers, it was a desire to help the minister in ways to rally people that may not be ready to come into the mosque, but to get them to see the value of themselves and their people. So I saw him as a champion for Black people and a champion for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And that's how I started my journey with him back in 1982.
Yes, too. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to be able to express what effect that Captain Dennis has had on me in my life. I actually met Brother Captain back in the late 80s. As a junior, senior in high school, and I was searching, and he had a little corner in the bookstore that he sold the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan tapes out of. And I would walk by, I would look in the window. One day I decided to go in, and I seen him on the video, and we just struck up a conversation. And it was his genuine concern that I felt that he really cared about me. Not knowing me off the street really had an effect on me to this day. That he's a genuine, sincere, and lover of our people. That's what locked me in.
Brother Willie, you got to come off mute.
Thank you for those actual comments, brothers and sisters. I mean, brothers, I apologize for saying sisters. So my next question is, if you've spent any amount of time on the phone with Captain Dennis, at some time during that call, you will hear his voice rise as he gives a passionate motivational talk on something, right? He's going to motivate you about something before you get off that phone. So my question to you all, and we'll start with Brother Ben, and then we'll go to Brother Waliullah, and then Brother Norman. If you've had one of those moments with Captain Dennis where he just that motivation, that fire on that phone, can you please describe that experience and share what was the outcome after you were moved by that spirit that he conveyed on the phone?
Mhm.
I'll start with the last. The spirit is always like a father. He's like really a father figure. That's how I look at him. You know, always reminding and calling right on time. You know, even if he just wanna, you know, just give you something, you know, it just be always on time, and it's always something, and he always gonna bring it from the minister and bring those stories from the minister. What I like best is when he tell those stories about you know, traveling with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and how the minister handles certain situations, because, you know, as a follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I'd be wanting to know that. How would the minister handle this? What would the minister do in this situation? So when he just randomly calls and just gives those stories, it's always healing and soothing for me to hear. But it'll be something like, Assalamu alaikum, brother Ben, you know, how's your family? How's it doing? And then shoot, 5 minutes later, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, whatever we do unto the least of these. And I'll be like, golly, where'd that come from? and so it's always good. He always keeps me level-headed, always reminds me, like I said, about security. And for me, he's like somebody who's always watching but don't know that you're watching. You know, because whenever he gives that call, it's always a call that either you need, it's either a call that somebody around you may need, that you can just simply share. So for me, man, it's just been like a divine reminder. You know, sometimes it's not always a weekly call or a monthly call. It may be 2 months out where you wasn't even expecting it, but after you get back off that call, you be mission driven and you be focused on the mission, because life happens, you know, life happens, and sometimes you be thinking about something else. Sometimes you may forget about certain things, but he always calls you and get you back on track and have that captain spirit to where it ain't gonna be soft. It's gonna be, you know, he gonna give it to you, but also, you know, that he's doing it because he truly loves the Muslims and he truly loves us, and he only wants to see us rise and do better. But it always starts off, you know, just, you know, he gonna give you your accolades, brother Ben. I'm loving what you're doing, and oh, brother. Then about 5 minutes later, man, he just going all the way in like he giving a lecture to the whole room. So that's been my experience.
Oh, beautiful, brother Ben. Let me say, you know, my relationship with Brother Dennis, of course, spanned almost 4 decades. So you can imagine we talk to each other on a regular basis. And the majority of our conversation, of course, as we watch our families and our children grow, but the majority of our conversation around how do we become more productive as FOI and helpers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. How do we help to lighten the load of the Supreme Captain? Our conversation is always around how do we get the men more in tune and involved with the mission and the assignment. And that's what our conversation. And so it'll start off like Brother Ben say, you know, be real nice and easy, but at some point you're going to hear the passion. You're going to feel the passion, which is not emotion, but it's the love that he has for the people. And like I said, you know, being with brother and being from his lieutenant to his first officer to a captain under him, to becoming a regional captain with him, it's been a tremendous journey because of the love and the passion. And when you talk to him, that's going to come out. How do you help the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? How do you help Minister Farrakhan help the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad? How do we help to make our nation better? And so those are the conversations that we have had. And like I said, sometimes we'll talk on the phone literally for an hour and 10 minutes. It's very seldom we have a short conversation. So we cover a lot. And, you know, as a brother that's constantly teaching and training and working to bring the best out of himself and others, I think that's the conversation I have with him. It's always, how do we make the FOI better? How do we make our nation better? How do we become more productive and better helpers of our nation and our minister?
Yeah, like what Brother Captain, Brother Minister, Brother Walillah said. A lot of our conversations have been always focused around the minister primarily, but a way to help the minister, whether it's through the mosque or through the community. I think in the establishment of the peacekeepers, and being able to take the training that we get as FOI to the community, to better the community. We didn't have it for ourselves for such a long time, and we see what it can produce in us. But to be able to take that same training and be inspired to give it to the lost founds who may have hindrances or not regrets, but not as quick to pick up certain aspects, but want to see our community in a better place, is one of the things that he's really pushing me to really help establish. And is removing the barriers that separate us from the community and letting the community see us in a different light, whereby we're more accessible. If you kind of understand what I'm saying. They even answered the question.
You answered the question, my brother. Thank you all. Thank you for your actual words. So my next question is for Brother Waliullah. You know, you served under Brother Captain while he was the East Coast regional captain in New York. Can you share with us some of your fondest memories or lessons you learned while working with him there?
Wow. I think one of the things is, you know, we're constantly traveling. I think one of the things that Brother Dennis taught us, even when I was as lieutenant or first officer, was that wherever the minister went, we were Buffalo soldiers. And as when he was a captain in Buffalo, you know, most cities had the mentality wherever the minister is within, say, 500 miles, they'll go. Buffalo, where we come up, wherever he was within 1,000 miles, we would travel.
That's
so
right.
Of course, we went to New York. It's the same situation. So he's constantly bringing the men together to serve, to make sure that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is fully secured. So I learned the passion to be with the minister, not just to be in this physical space, but to be in a space to do all that we can do, that when it's said and done, then Allah and his angels would do the rest, because the depth of the wickedness of Satan we can't fathom, but we know that we can make sure that every chair is checked, every door is checked, every garage, every area is checked. And he instilled that in security as one of those men that you see walking the point when you see the minister, or sometime he may be on the flank, depending on who and where we are with the diamond. So it being under him, you know, when he was in New York, as New York grew, in a mosque, and from 91 till 97 or 98, whenever it was just a tremendous service of travel duty. And of course, we always competed when it came to, you know, the East Coast. And I heard somebody say the South Best Coast. I understand, you know, but I kind of think that, you know, the East was always up there. The West is always up there. I guess the South is okay. Now, let me leave Ben and you alone. But Brother Dennis taught us the love of every Muslim, even though we competed with righteous competition. And so even though we talk about what's the best, he always taught us how to be brothers with each other. And so my challenge always, you know, he expects you to be there on time. And, you know, D used to say, you know, talking about me, we don't need 40 acres and a mule, we need 40 acres and a hue, because he worked you hard, but he wanted to make sure that the messenger was secure, and that we did everything that we can do to make sure that not only the messenger, but the believers would get back to their places once we came, and that we can continue to work.
So the next question is for Brother Norman. You know, I've called Captain Dennis before, and he was actually with you as you all were driving to the next city, as he established or was scheduled to speak or do some work on the behalf of the peacekeepers. What are some of your fondest memories with Captain Dennis as you all were traveling, you know, to do work in the name of the peacekeepers?
Some of the fondest, well, they are fond memories. I love being with Brother Captain. My entire time in the nation has really been under his tutelage, and I cannot think of an opportunity or a time whereby teaching and training didn't take place, but it was teaching and training that was made practical. It was easy to understand. Even from holding posts, I mean, we riding, he teaching the prayers, We ride and we're going over the general order. He's always in teacher and trainer mode. So whether we're going to the store or we're traveling to different cities, is opportunity for him to give us a little bit more of himself. And his training class is always in session with him. Class is always in session.
Thank you, brother. Now, this next question is for our brother Ben X. You know, it's a two-part question, brother Ben. One, share with us what it was like to see Captain Dennis at work during those barbershop talks. And two, how Captain Dennis always makes himself available, how he always makes himself available to young Muslims coming up who he sees promise in.
Well, I answered the last one. He's always very available. In fact, he's the one who calls. You know, you don't have to call him. He'll call you and check on you and see how you're doing. Anytime that I text him or call or need him, he's always there to answer. There was one recently where I was rolling with Brother Jake, my business partner, and I was trying to explain to Brother Jake something that Captain Dennis shared about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, a story. And I was just calling Captain Dennis just to get clarification on the story. Ended up being on the call about an hour and a half. He done told about 3-4 stories on that thing. So he's always readily available to share some news that we can use, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and stories and experience. You know, that's one thing he always says, you know, hey, you know, I may not be able to tell you about that one there, but this one, I got experience. I was there. You know, this is from first hand. I seen it. I can tell you exactly what I seen, and whatever he didn't see, he like, you know, I can't speak on that. So he's always available for the youth whenever they need him. Now, this barbershop tour, man, this was an experience for me and really allowed me to see behind social media and maybe see what a lot of you all may know. Of course, I'm new to the Nation of Islam, so I'm new to Captain Dennis as well. But I was able to see him, I'm talking about give his all in every barbershop that we have. It could be 3 people in the barbershop, and he's talking to us like y'all heard him talk on that cell phone, going in about the men, our responsibility. And I honestly don't know how he did it. You know, I'm more of an introvert. I think he learned that. I express myself on video because I usually be by myself. That's how I grew up as the only child. So when he tried to throw me in there in the back of my head, I'm like, man, I don't know about I'm ready to do no whole barbershop. So there's one barbershop where I'm doing my best trying to keep the brother, because I'm not loud like Captain Dennis. I ain't got that fiery spirit like Captain Dennis gonna fire him up like that per se. And he had to come save me. You know, he had to walk down there and come save me. But to see him go to all these different barbershops and give his all and be able to control the whole barbershop, got this person giving in, got this person answering questions, got this person going back and forth. And to see him do that, even with his health at that time, showed me the true love that he has for the people. I seen him, you know, seeming like, man, he was barely breathing. And he going to them barbershops, you know, he limp. I think at that time, I think he was having trouble with his knee. I'm seeing him, you know, he limping, he holding the wall, getting in. But as soon as he getting there, man, it's like his whole body was healed. You know, I can see him probably being mad at me because I'm up late at night listening to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So he probably wake up sleepy. But as soon as he get into that barbershop chair and he gets started, I mean, you can just see him come alive when he's speaking to the men. I really see him come alive, and I think that's his lane when he's speaking to the men. And there was even a time where, man, he had the brothers. It was 2 spots. It was one where there was some brothers. It was a barbershop that was on this side of the barbershop. All of them was in the chair, and then a whole other side. And to see him being able to handle both sides and have both people engaged, and then having men who seemed like they didn't even want to speak in the beginning, because these was random barbershops that we hitting. These are people who don't know us. We just hitting random barbershops in the city. So to see them kind of shy, don't want to talk, and then after Captain Dennis was going and fired them up and was saying what he was saying, how he even gave them life. He even woke them up and made them want to get engaged. Even the young people was getting engaged. The women was getting engaged. That was a beautiful experience and showed me truly how to go out amongst the people like that, random people that we don't know, random barbershop that we don't know, and fire them up to get them interested in what we wanted them to talk about. So that was a beautiful experience for me.
Yes, sir. Definitely appreciate that response, my brother. So when we talk about this, if you've ever seen Captain Dennis walk through the vending area convention hall during the Savior's Day, he can hardly take 3 steps without young and old, man, woman, and child coming up to him just to talk about his impact on their lives. Brother Norman, can you share anything about like what characteristics and qualities that our brother possesses that has caused him to earn the love of our people?
He genuinely cares about us. He is truly a brother's brother. I've known Captain Dennis since I was 16, and he has been very, if not the most influential person outside the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in my growth and development. And the reason he's received in that way is because people feel the love, they feel the sincerity, and they feel the genuine concern that he has and displays. It's not fake, it's not phony. What you see is what you get with Captain Dennis. I seen a post that he posted the other day. It's better to be respected than loved. Because those that say you love you really probably don't love you. But when you're forced to respect him because of how he carries himself, but you're also forced to respect him because you know that he loves you. And love being one of the most motivating factors in our lives is that people feel when they come in contact with Captain Dennis, is that genuine love and concern that becomes the motivation to always want to be in that presence. It's like Captain Houston, Brother Wali Allah was saying that he taught us to be wherever the minister was, we were going to be there. And Rook, Crook, Hook, we made it happen. From the good old days of 10 brothers in a room, 5 brothers in the car, 8 brothers in the van. But we was going to be there. When we got there, we made a way for ourselves to get back. But that was all because the love of the brotherhood that we all received from Brother Captain. He love. You get it when you feel it, you know you got it. When I went to go visit him a couple times, it became a point of contention with my wife because it's like, but that love allowed me to be able to deal with that, but still be willing to make that move for however long I had to make that move, because that love was so genuine. And it's love. That's all I can say. It's a genuine love and feeling that you get when you're in his presence.
And brothers, I'm really definitely enjoying the show. And we've reached our 30-minute mark where we want to pause for a commercial break. So I thank you all for tuning into the National Network View. Let's pause for a moment for these brief announcements.
He anointed our head with oil till our cup runneth over. He who, Master Farah Muhammad, that is he.
Greetings. This is Turkish Shakir Muhammad with National Network View. This week's issue of the Final Call newspaper is all about 2020 and what it meant to Black America. The FCN's cover story talks about the fight for justice for Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's Savior's Day and Criterion messages, and covers the COVID-19 pandemic, President Trump, and all that globally impacted communities across the globe. To read more, subscribe to FinalCallDigital.com. And thank you for tuning in to NNV News. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. Follow us on social media, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel, NNV News. This is Tarika Shakir Muhammad with NNVnews.com.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.
And we're back. We're back with I Have a Testimony. I'm your brother, Brother Willie Muhammad, and we're here with our brothers, Brother Benex, Brother Norman Muhammad, and we're also here with Brother Waliullah Muhammad. And I know we were supposed to have our brother Khalil, but he has some technical issues due to weather patterns that's taking place on the East Coast. So we're going to jump right back into this actual discussion. So one of the things that is without question when it comes to Brother Captain Dennis Muhammad is his immense love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we'll start with Brother Ben, then Brother Norman, and then Brother Waliullah. Can any of you take a moment and share with us what you have witnessed about Brother Captain Dennis' love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan?
Yes. Anytime he calls me, it is always to thank me and encourage me to continue to spread the words of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It has always been to use the influence that Allah has blessed me with to attract them more to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He always congratulates me on how I'm able to take a minute of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan's words and put it on social media so that the youth could understand it. He's actually seen me, for almost a whole month do that, stand up at night, listening to the minister and chopping up those clips. So he sees the work that is put in behind the scenes to make that happen. So he always calls and encourages me to keep the minister out front and always reminds me of everything that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has went through, stories about the minister being talked about, stories about how the minister has been at the table with people who have said bad things about him, but he was able to, hold the brothers down and give them mercy. So he's just always teaching me about the character of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the works of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which helps me in defense of the minister and helps me be a better follower and someone who is able to understand the minister a little bit more, because we see the minister during the lectures and we see the minister during the interviews. But myself, I would like to see the minister outside of the lectures, outside of the interviews. How does he handle certain questions? How does he handle certain disputes? How does he handle certain situations in his life? So to have somebody like Captain Dennis, who's, not selfish, because he could easily just talk about himself, what he did, and this is what I did with the minister, but he always just talking about the minister and what the minister is doing behind the scenes and what he went through and what he overcame, which always helped me out get a deeper understanding of the man that we have in our midst. So to me, that is an example of love, keeping the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan out front and putting the knowledge that I wasn't even alive to see or even, old enough to understand, putting that knowledge and sharing that knowledge with me so I could deeply understand who he is, so I can pass that down to generation that's coming after me as well.
I can definitely speak of the sacrifices that Brother Captain have made over the years that I know of being with him to secure the minister. We used to have a tape connection in Buffalo, New York, whereby the sole purpose of that tape connection was to ensure his availability to be able to respond to the minister when he called. Sometimes we made money, sometimes we didn't, but it allowed him to be free enough to be able to make those moves. We used to import the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan tapes into Canada. I used to make a Toronto run. Sacrifices, his vehicle, his family, his time. I think back of one instance whereby Tape Connection was doing bad. I mean, it was sporadic. It was sporadic. I remember us splitting sandwiches for dinner. I was a single FOI, I ain't had no family, but he looked out enough for me that he would buy a sandwich and split it with me and then go home to his family. Sacrifice. I mean, he brought me to Farrakhan and left me there. He didn't make me a worshiper of Captain Dennis, which I believe could have been very easy because I love him so much. But he doesn't make it about him. He makes it about the wise man. He's taken me to Farrakhan, and that's where he's left me. We have an excellent relationship, but he constantly instills in me it's not about him, but it's about Farrakhan.
Beautiful. Thank you, Brother Ben and Brother Norman. Brother Ben, thank you for all that great work that you do, because the people in our city love when you put things together. So we appreciate that tremendously as well. You know, you talk about two things. I want to go back, Brother Willie, too. You talk about characteristics from Brother Norman before the break. One of the things, you know, people have to remember that Brother Dennis was also a minister before. He was a captain and a minister, then a captain. And so when I first engaged Brother Dennis, it was not as the captain, but it was as a minister. And so in 1982, when he left Chicago, the demonstration of a love that the minister sent him to Western New York, starting first in Buffalo. And so out of the love of the minister, as a student minister under the ministry, he went to Buffalo, opened up that city, went to Rochester, Syracuse. We went into the capital, Albany. Then, of course, Brother Norman just mentioned Toronto. We ventured into, as I mentioned earlier, Erie, Pennsylvania. And also when he went to Pittsburgh for a while to be the minister there in Pittsburgh before coming back to Buffalo. To be the captain in 1986, 87, I'm thinking around there. And so the love that the characteristics that he have is also as one that loved the word. Not only a trainer, a man in a physical construct, but also a man that loved the word of God, and to see a man evolve from where the messenger of God found us, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, to where we are today. And so that is one of the things that I see of him when you talk about the love of the minister, the desire. You know, back in the day, we thought love was, you know, the minister bought a suit the same color. You know, they try to buy it. We try to get a suit. Not me so much, but that was a team a little bit ahead of me. You know, I later came to the team, me and Khalil and probably Curtis. But of course, Brother Dennis and me and Khalil is so. But Brother Dennis and, of course, the Supreme Captain. Was just a wonderful brother and friend all those years with Brother Dennis and Brother Sharif and Brother Keel. They were the first four that I remember. And of course, our brother that was in the South at the same time, Brother Sadiq. And so they were the ones that were there. So we used to look up to them even before I became a regional captain. We used to look up to them. So the desire to want to follow the minister, but not only in how he looks, how he parts his hair, we hear the minister say, but also to instill in us the principles of Islam. And that is the ultimate love. And Brother Norman talked about the sacrifices that at a moment's notice, we would drop what we were doing and we would be on the road. And Brother Dennis came to be a man, when I remember when I was coming in those days, that as he is today, much loved and trusted by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan because of his demonstration of his love for the people. So he was always telling us, listen, where the message is, that's where we go. And so as a characteristics and some of those what we would call attributes also come from the ministry of striving to be a pastor. I saw some of the notes, people talking about calling when their daughter was missing or, you know, different things like that. So I think the demonstration of love show in striving to follow the minister and set the example that he have set for us and kept before us.
So Brother Waliullah, this question is coming. This next question is to you because you're also referred to as a minister captain, right? And same thing with our brother Captain Dennis. So on the flyer that we have, it has a trainer of men. And from your perspective, what makes Brother Captain Dennis an effective trainer of men?
I had an answer quickly. Said he know how to get from each man the best that the man have to give. It's like the question is, he's not looking at what you can't do. He's looking at what you can do. And oftentimes when you're training men, you may look at, well, they can't do this, they can't do that. But he was very good at getting men to perform at or above their level. As the messenger said, we got to punch above our ability. He was always striving to get you to be better as a soldier. He always instilled in you the discipline that's needed to stand post, and so the trainer of men is the fact that he was constantly, as the FOI creed, that constantly training and conditioning himself that we may meet, overcome all obstacles in our path to deliver the Lamb of God, which is our sole purpose, the dead. And so Brother Dennis, being that type of, instilled that in me, because I was his lieutenant, his first officer, I was a squad leader, lieutenant, first officer. I'll tell this story real quick. One time, he didn't take excuses either. One time I had I had a construction company in Buffalo, and I was very busy. I might have been teaching school at the time, and something was going on. I was married, and I was complaining to him. And he looked at me and said, "Brother, you're like a 2x4 holding up that corner. When you break, I'll find somebody else." Dismiss Slum Lake. I'm like, man, that's kind of harsh. But what he was telling me, bro, don't make excuses. And then I thought of the trainer say, poor excuses is a sign of weakness. And so he eliminated and taught me to eliminate the excuses that we can make, or the what we would call the barriers to training. And there's nothing like that's a barrier to training when a man is training, that's an excuse that we will give. And Minister Ishmael talked about that today, and the minister talked about it in the article in the center of the final call, that we can overcome all of those obstacles that's in our path to our liberation. And in order to do that, we got to overcome the Negro. And if he didn't keep the pressure on us, it's easy to go back. And so he taught me to make sure that as you're compassionate, but you also have to be firm. And we used to say it takes, pressure to make a diamond. And so his removal of barriers to training, excuses that we can give, but also the ability to get the best out of the man and to meet that soldier where he was, and till he could bring the soldier where he needs to be a good servant and helper of the Messiah in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Thank you. And this next question is for Brother Ben. Brother Ben, what have you taken from Captain Dennis that you have used in your dealing with our people? Because I know you're very active on social media. Like, what have you learned from Captain Dennis that you have also cultivated in your interaction with our people online and offline?
Well, what I've been able to have at the forefront of my mind is the recent phone calls about the minister speaking about how we would say that we love him. And then he brought up where in scripture it talks about, well, whatever we do unto the least of these, you have done unto me. So he always reminds, yes, we can do this for the minister. Yeah, we can say this for the minister, but don't forget about the little small Muslims that people don't know about. Don't forget about our people that people may not know about. We have to do for them. We have to acknowledge them. So that is something that I've been able to have at the forefront of my mind and continue to do. We've even now, the brother that I fished in is now a partner or employee of our company. And Captain Dennis always talks about security, taught me about how to lock the doors at the hotel, things of that nature. So he's always reminding me about security and that, Satan is watching as well, and to always be on my P's and Q's. And so now we have the brother that I actually fished in is our security, and he travels with us and is the security here at the company. So he always just reminds about not forgetting about those who people don't know, who's not student minister, who's not captains. And so with that being on my mind, I've been able to utilize that principle when it comes to our people. As an example, there was somebody came on my live and said, I'm surprised that you still go live with people, because somebody at your influence and the following that you have, they don't just let anybody on their live. And I said in response, I mean, it is the people who grew my platform. It is the people who I'm here to serve. It is the people who allows me to be free and do what I do from the support that I have. So why would I stop that? So just having that in mind of the Captain Dennis reminded me of the principle of the minister that has been able to help me and give me the courage and motivation to continue to reach out to the people, to continue to bring those people on my live, although I am gaining the influence that I have.
Thank you, my brother. And this question is to all three of you all. And we'll start with Brother Norman, then Brother Waliullah, and we'll close out with our Brother Ben. From your perspective, what would you say is Brother Captain Dennis, Emeritus Captain Dennis, Captain Emeritus, what would you say is his value to the Nation of Islam?
I would say his value is all encompassing. I mean, he lives, breathes, sleeps, eats, thinks the Nation of Islam. His sole purpose is to see the Nation of Islam and the community in a better place. So a lot of what he does is to see that come to fruition. He's a make it happen captain. I mean, that's one of the things that he taught us in following Brother Waliullah is, you know, he would give an instruction, no excuse, make it happen. He forced us to think outside the box. And that's what he creates. He doesn't create or make dumb followers. He inspires and creates thinking men that will constantly train and condition themselves to meet and overcome all obstacles to obtain the goal. His greatest asset, he's a motivator. He's a motivator of men.
Thank you. And now, Brother Waliullah.
If I understand the question, Brother Will, you're saying what is his value to the Nation of Islam?
Yes, sir.
I definitely agree with Brother Norman and some of those attributes that he have, his ability to speak, motivate, encourage, and train. But I think one of the greatest value he have is what he helped in establishing aspects of opening up city for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I'm a product of that. Men like Minister Halim is a product like that. Men like Brother Norman is a product like that. Many other men and women, some who was in the nation that when he went to Buffalo, that came back to the nation to establish Buffalo as a strong mosque and helping in the East Coast, his ability to be able to travel and his experience from prior to 1975 and that which he brought when he came to Buffalo and that area. And so I would say the value, not only the skills or the attributes that Allah gave him, but demonstrate through the love and the work that he put in establishing or re-establishing cities under the leadership of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And so you go into many cities, and I share this with a lot of people all the time, that, you know, as he moved, it was constantly about developing and spreading the word of Allah. And so that is a great value to me as I pay honor and give a testimony of my brother in what he did in establishing, like I said, when he first came to my university when I was 20, and I'm almost 60 now. You know, I'll be 59 in less than a month. And so his value to me is one that was the one I heard teaching Islam from our servant, from God's servant, the Messiah, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but also helped to develop me as I grew in Islam with many of those who trained on him, that many who became captain, you know, under him, and those who went on to be ministers and develop in the way of Islam. So I think that's the value, is what he have done in helping the minister, and not only in security, but establishing and reopening cities throughout America. And then the training that he give going into many cities. And at one point, of course, helping to build and make the East Coast region a powerhouse when he and Brother Conrad was there in New York, and many other wonderful believers, Sister Karima, the captain, and others that was there in the city of New York and throughout the nation.
Thank you. And now, brother Ben, what do you see as Brother Captain Dennis's value to the nation?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Brother Charles, for the bow tie correction. I'm trying to get this thing together. It ain't clapping together right. But I would say, to answer that question, Captain Dennis's value, I believe, is being in the nation when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was amongst us, seeing the nation fall and seeing the nation rise with and being with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I say that because we are, I believe, going to go maybe have to deal with a lot of the trials soon that they dealt with, that he was able to see with his own eyes back at that time. And I think he's just a realist. He's not spooky. If he see a problem, he don't mind saying what the problem is. He don't mind saying, hey, we slacking right here. He don't mind saying we got to do better right here. So I think him being able to see the fall, being a part of the rise, seeing the rise, and bringing solutions to the table that he knows could help, because he's not going, he's not going to sugarcoat it. He's not going to sugarcoat when we're not doing what we're supposed to do. We're not thinking how we're supposed to think. We're not believing how we're supposed to believe. So I think him having that experience with his age and being in it, not just being a part of it, but being in it and actually helping it grow, I think is the value that we have in him and the wisdom that he has from being with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, seeing the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan work, the type of work that's needed to build the nation, the type of mind that's needed behind the scenes to handle certain situations that we're going to eventually have to deal with as the elders, go out. That's just time and how life is. Everybody's going to eventually go. So he has that ability now to be a part of something big and great like that, pass that knowledge down, and then being able to see solutions, because he was able to see people fall. He was able to see people come back. So he's able to give us a certain insight that a lot of people aren't able to give because they simply just wasn't there. So I see that as being his greatest value, of being a trainer of the men, developing the men, and then seeing and bringing solutions to the table that he saw over time and over the years that has worked.
Yes, sir. And I gotta, normally I wouldn't do this, but I just have to. I normally just stay asking the questions, but I got to share this. And first, before I do, I want to thank Brother Captain's wife, because I believe, if I'm not mistaken, she's from Houston. And when he was here, that's when my relationship with Captain Dennis began, because he will be coming in and out of our city on the behalf of our regional captain at that time, and my relationship. So you can imagine a man that I admire from the distance. Now I'm in a car with him. I get the chance to ask questions, and he's passionate and fire up. I've never seen Captain Dennis talk to any group of men that he didn't, after he finished, the room was not on 10. And this is a very real example when we talk about the training. So you see our brother Ben with the bow tie, and Brother Ben texted me before. He's like, man, the bow tie is not working. So I was trying to give him a little stuff. And I said, look, the most I can tell you what Captain Dennis said, make it happen. So, and that's what Captain, like, I hear all of that, but make it happen. And one thing I love, one of the many things I love about Captain Dennis is this. There are people who will tell you about the good experience that they've had with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, where the minister praised them and talked about their qualities. And that's good. One of the things about Captain Dennis is that just as he is willing to talk about the praise and the good words that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has gave him, man, he has shared publicly and privately the times where he has made mistakes and the minister tore him up, corrected him in a loving way. And he talks about that. And I love that, because it gives the balance. And then when you hear those stories, you learn how to handle that chastisement, how to handle that correction from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And when we talk about the love for the minister, listen, you can't tell me that this man does not love the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan based upon what I have personally seen. We were in the New Orleans Police Department superintendent's office, where this Jewish rabbi forsake observing a Jewish holiday to come back to oppose Brother Captain Dennis using his program Enoda to train members of the New Orleans Police Department. And this rabbi was in this meeting being very disrespectful. and Captain Dennis was dealing with him, being cordial. But when he said something about the minister, listen, I thought for sure Captain Dennis was about to grab this man from across this table and sling him across the room. And when you saw like that, you ever see like them cats when they get upset that their backs rise up? Captain Dennis' back rolls up, and he had that finger, and it got so heated in there that the police chief was like, wait. And Captain, his love for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, just a couple of weeks ago, we were working on getting something done as it relates to this show, and we were getting a runaround. And Captain Dennis like, listen, he said, I'm gonna give a damn what y'all talking about. He said, when it come to Minister Farrakhan, whatever you all need to do, you need to make it happen. And the brother said, yes, sir, Brother Captain. I was like, listen, definitely, there's so many stories, but I just had to share those, and we'll get to this next question. And we have this here is for all of you all. We'll start with Brother Waliullah, Brother Ben, and then Brother Norman. How has Brother Captain Dennis helped you to become a better follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan? You're on mute, Brother Waliullah.
Thank you, beloved. Thank you, sir. I think we've hit it many times, throughout the different questions, all three of us and yourself, is that it's commitment to helping the minister, the discipline and the focus in putting the minister first, and put the minister above ourselves. And some people say, well, how can you do it? Well, Allah say that we should not prefer our life to the messenger's life. And sometimes a lot of people think that, very different. I feel Brother Terrence Mack. I remember Brother Terrence from Buffalo. Peace, Brother Terrence. Assalamu alaikum. We should never prefer our life and what we desire over that of which the messenger is calling us to. And that is one of the things that I've been taught and continue to follow to this very day. When I go into a city, and Allah have blessed me over these many years to travel with the messenger, I seldomly ever leave before him. Brother Dennis is saying, because that's how I was trained. And Allah says in the Quran that whenever you're on a momentous trip or journey with the messenger, ask leave. And so I never want to ask leave of the messenger before he leaves. So it was always that we would stay until he got on the plane, he got in the car. If we were not traveling with him, that he would leave. So I think instilling the principles, we talk about love, commitment to the mission, not only in a moment, but for the movement of the resurrection of our people. And so he helped me to be a better Muslim in the early days, because he showed that commitment that he had, and I was able to emulate and follow that commitment that he demonstrated for the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, the Nation of Islam, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and Islam as a whole. So that helped me to be a better Muslim. Thank him for that.
Thank you. Wait, you're on mute, brother Ben. 1 second.
Sorry. For me, it's not anything that he said, more so me traveling with him and seeing what he did, seeing how he was able to overcome what he was dealing with health-wise, and still going to those barbershops and give it all that he had, even if that all that he had was going to happen at that barbershop. So for me, in my mind, whenever I'm tired, whenever I feel like, oh my goodness, man, I've been up all day, or man, I can't deal with this, I think back of those 30 days that I was with Captain Dennis, going into all those different barbershops, him being in the hotel, trying to recover, getting back out. We got one more to go, and he just giving it all that he have. And when he get in there, you can't even tell that anything was wrong. So for me, that alone has helped me be a better follower of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, seeing what it's like to be a true soldier, even when you're wounded, to go out there for the mission and resurrection of the dead of our people. Just seeing him overcome his obstacles. As FOI, we say we meet and overcome all obstacles. So to see one do it and see him overcome it and have no complaints about it, that alone has helped me be a better follower.
Great.
Yes. I think it's been a blessing and a benefit for me because I've been with him for so long. I mean, from a teenager to single FOI, to be able to travel with him and watch his example and his commitment over a protracted period of time and see the genuineness in it and the sincerity and the sacrifice and the practical application of what we believe, to see it all put into something that makes sense and common, whereby it's tangible. I think this is an example that has made me a better Muslim. And it's not over. I mean, over a long period of time, to see the consistency, the ups, the downs, the good times, the bad times, the trouble, the tribulation, and to see him consistent gave me an example and a roadmap and increased my love through witnessing his of that which we were part of.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And we're coming down to this last question, and this last question to each of you all. And we'll go Brother Ben, Brother Waliullah, then close out with Brother Norman. What does it say? Because the title of this show is I Have a Testimony. And even though we're giving a tribute to our brother Captain Dennis, it's because of his great work and help to the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So I think this is a fitting question to end on. What does it say about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan that he can produce such a giant like Brother Captain Dennis? There are many others. Many of you, each three of you all who are on this actual show are giants as well. And we're talking specifically about this. What does it say about the minister that he can produce a man, a trainer of men like our brother Captain Emeritus Dennis Muhammad? You're on mute, brother. You're on mute, Brother Ben.
My bad. To me, it says that he is backed by God, and that he is a true leader for Black people. One thing that I love about the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is that although he has the great influence that he have, he's stamped by the Christ and the God, but he understands that I physically at one point am going to have to go. But he also says, I can't die. And he's not spooky by saying that this finite body that I have is going to live forever. But he understands that I can't die because he's given his all and has put it into other men and has made them giants from the wisdom that he has. So although he has a finite body, but there's an infinite or infinite wisdom that he possesses, that he does not mind sharing and putting that in other individuals so that he can live on through them. So as he teaches us, Jesus lives and Abraham lives and Moses lives because we are living on that word that they was living on. He's living on that truth that they was teaching. Well, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said a good leader is one that takes you to God and leaves you there. So he doesn't make it to where, you know, we have to depend on every single thing and oh, I wonder what the minister is going to say about it. No, he's teaching us how to think. He's bringing us up into the mind of God. And one of his lectures, he said, why Master Fard Muhammad, you know, why did he ask why in the Supreme Wisdom lesson? Because he wants our mind to go up into his mind. He wants to make our mind one with his. So recently he talked about how, you know, he's being made into a God and he's making us into a God as well with that same knowledge. So there was a lecture where he was talking about true leadership. He said true leadership is when one is developing other people or students to replace them. So to know that we got a Captain Dennis in our midst who can speak to us like a father, just like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan can speak to us like a father. To know that we have a Captain Dennis in our midst that can guide us and teach us about the enemy that we know is real, just like the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan can. It shows us that the minister really cares about Black people because he knows when I'm gone, the people still going to need this knowledge. When I'm no longer among them, people are still going to need guidance. So to know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has poured himself into so many brothers and has made so many giants like himself, to me, that just shows the love, passion, and really the guidance that he's received from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is to get all of our people. He said through him, You know, he said he's brother through you. And of course, when the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is no longer physically among us, there's still going to be some people that has to be had. And that's going to happen from people like myself coupling with Captain Dennis, the old for counsel, and they say the youngest for war. So to have somebody in our midst that we can call on, that we can text, that we can email, that can give us some guidance that we just don't have, to me shows the love of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Beautiful. You know, when you talk about making a man like Brother Dennis and many others, and I've had the opportunity to work with so many, I would first start by saying one of the things is that God have blessed us as he's making us, as gaps have arisen between us and the minister, you know, as we're looking in study guide number 18 now, through the study guide 18, rising above emotion into the thinking of God, that the level of patience that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan demonstrated with us, that as God was guiding him and we were receiving instruction and commands, even when we had our own personal desires and things created a gap, the minister was patient enough with us for us to be able to close that gap by coming back to the word and coming back to the way that he was teaching us. So for me, what it demonstrates in making a man like Brother Dennis, and I'd say many of those men that were in the picture before and many other men and women that he have made by the grace of Allah, that are natural leaders that have returned to our nature as we have been nurtured into being what Satan and Yaqub's people made. And so for me, it demonstrates that God backs the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as Christ backed the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan as we walk in the volume of the book and we're coming through scriptures representing his disciples. So it shows that he can make a man. So the scriptures say, let us make man. And the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan say, make all men and boys join the FOI. Train them fast to be brave fighters, willing to give their life for Allah's sake and righteousness. And it's that journey to meet with Allah in the process of resurrection that begins with the self-accusing spirit and don't end until we become one with Allah in his creation, that the ministers have demonstrated over and over that if we stay in the process, if we stay in that which he have given to us, then he will make us over and over and over again by Allah's permission. And the study guide that we're studying is a great way in which it helps to make. And that's one of the things that we did on the Brother Dennis and my former student minister, my brother, my colleague, brother student minister, Halim Muhammad, who was Donald Muhammad. Then Buffalo was known to be a studious mosque, and we all studied. And that's one of the things that helped to make us and will make all of us into him, because God have come to make us into himself, into the most humble Elijah Muhammad, and into his Messiah in our midst, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He is following God and bringing us with him. And like Brother Jabril, the minister asked Brother Jabril, and I'll close with this. He said, brother, well, he said he wants your mind. He said, well, how do we do that? And Brother Jabril said, brother, he'll bring you the same way that Allah brought him. And that means we have to sacrifice, we have to study, but most important, we have to submit and obey. I was with the messenger one day. I don't know if Brother Dennis was with us, and a few of us were there, and he was talking to us. He said, brother, I so completely trust in Master Farad Muhammad and the most humble Elijah Muhammad. That's the level of trust that I have in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, as he's teaching us to have that type of trust in the most humble Elijah Muhammad and in Master Farad Muhammad. But it starts with that trust in him. And I thought Brother Student Minister Ishmael did such a fantastic job today in demonstrating that. So if anybody on this comm did not hear Student Minister Ishmael today, I'd encourage you to go back and listen. It was a beautiful lecture. He's making us into himself. Thank you.
Go ahead, Brother Norman.
Well, I mean, what more else is there to say? I mean, those two brothers covered it phenomenally. It says that the Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan is one of the greatest men to ever live. But not only live, but be able to reproduce himself in so many who have the ability to reproduce themselves And now I see how is what is meant by I will get all my people. It's not that necessarily the minister will get them personally, but over the generations, he has put something in the atmosphere that will eventually bring that to naught. Greatest man alive.
Thank you, and thank you all for your comments. So that was the last question. I wanted to bring this up. You know, really, Allah put this on my heart to do. We actually had the interview that's scheduled for next week was actually scheduled for this week, and just a spirit came over me to say, man, you know, we need to do a tribute to our brother Captain Dennis. And when I did it, some people call me like, man, is everything all right? I'm like, yeah, brother, he's all right, which it really showed me that we need to do more of this for those who have sacrificed and put their life on the line for the building of our nation. All of the brothers and the sisters. And that's why we actually did this. And they're going to pull up the slide. We're asking for those who have it on their heart to give. If you have Cash App or whatever, if you have it on your heart to give, you want to show your appreciation in a financial way, send a donation to our brother via Cash App, which is $ Dennis Mahdi. That's MAHDI. I don't know if it's real, if it may be very small on it, but they'll have it coming across. If you have the opportunity, there it is. Send a donation to our brother via Cash App. This is not something he didn't ask me to do this. This is something that I felt on my own and wanted to do and give others the opportunity who may be in a position to actually do so. So we talked about our brother, you heard, and some of you all may have not met this man, and you may like, man, who is this man? I need to hear from him. So we have him on, and we'll give our brother the opportunity just to close us out with some words. And Brother Captain Dennis, as you can tell from the comments that were said by the panelists, you can tell by the comments that are showing up across the screen that this is only just a small token of the love that's out here for you. So let's bring our brother Captain Emeritus Dennis Muhammad.
Thank you, Brother Minister. The way this was presented, first, let me say this. In the name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful God, we give him honor, we give him praise. I thank Allah, Master Farad Muhammad, for giving us the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who saved my life. And thank him over and over again that he did not leave us leaderless, that he gave one to us like himself. One that he told us the way he said go, we go. Where he said don't go, we don't go. Where he said he would get us across the water on his back. And he wouldn't say, look what I have done. He would say, look what God have done. That man is none other than the esteemed leader, the most honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I thank them three, for without them, there would not be no Brother Dennis. I can tell you truthfully, and I can say this as God is my living witness. I don't take praise that easy. Those of you who know me, y'all know I have a problem with that. Not that I think I'm all that in a bag of chips, but if there's anything that I love, or every one of you said that was consistent, is I taught you to love Minister Farrakhan. I wear these glasses because I try not to cry. But it's hard because of his sacrifice that there's a Brother Dennis. I'm not standing here alone. There were soldiers that was under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that had an impact on my life. I'm not the man I am by myself. There was those that was under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that taught me what a true brother was. I told you this story about a brother named Brother Ronald when I first came in the nation in 1972. I was on form. I had not even had my ex yet. And we went to our restaurant there, and there we was eating, and he had a bowl of bean soup, and he ate about half of it. He slid it towards me, and I'm looking at him like, wait, well, you don't like the bean soup? And Brother Ronald said to me, and I never forget this. He said, no, sir, brother. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, if I got a bowl of bean soup, half of it belongs to my brother. And I thought he was kind of crazy. And I'm like, what? And he said, brother, I can't eat that bowl of bean soup unless you give me permission. And I'm like in my mind, you serious? And I said, yes, sir. And then Brother Ronald said, thank you, sir. And he took that bowl of bean soup and ate the rest of it. He taught me brotherhood. He taught me the true meaning. That a true Muslim who wants for his brother and his sister what he wants for himself. I try to live that. I may not have been considered a great captain. I can live with that. But I can't live with I wasn't a good brother. That would hurt me. And when I look at these giants, Brother Minister Hugh Allah, I am so thankful to Allah I had anything to do with him, that I could bring such a great servant like him to Minister Farrakhan. The minister loved that man. When I look at my brother Norman, he's like a son to me. Yes, he's seen me in my bad days and my good days. But I could look at him and see his beautiful family, knowing I had something to do with that. Yeah, when I look at my brother, oh goodness, Brother Ben. Now, Ben, when I put him on the road with me, I was like Yoda. I was the old dude and he was like the new Jedi. I always had to explain to him. He'd be on the middle of the night, got the minister, I'm trying to sleep. I had him in my room. I had to say, look here, son, ain't no way I could sleep listening to that man. And then he said, oh, okay, Captain. He didn't know security as well because he didn't know you always put the chain on the door. But I recognize this is his time. I recognize it's men like Ben that's going to get to them youngins. And I knew we had to put a ring of fire around Ben. I knew he didn't have all the training. I would call Ben and give him security measures. He seen I was sick as all outdoor. They had to call the ambulance in Atlantic City. I'm sitting here waiting for Ben to come through the door so he could call the ambulance. I'm dying up here. He down in my car doing a live video feed. I didn't even know until I looked at it one time. And he came up, man, I said, man, if you don't call this now, my wife, and he didn't know what to do. And Atlantic City came up and they carried me out. But this was the funniest part about that story. I always got to tell a funny story. All through that hotel up in Atlantic City, I'm walking through with some brand new fresh Adidas and, all of the ladies back there behind the counter giving me all these benefits. And so when the ambulance had to take me out, I didn't want them to take me out through the front because all them Negroes, I had to go past them. I was hoping it was a back door. But the ambulance took me out through the front. And all they can see, I'm trying to hide my face, but they can see them brand new Adidas. They said, who's that? Is that old school? What happened to old school? I laughed. I was trying to get past them. But nevertheless, I want to say to everyone, I read your comments. Thank you so much. I didn't think this tribute was necessary because it made it look like I had retired or something had happened, Captain. No, y'all. Man, Allah not through with me. I pray every day to Master Farad Muhammad in his Christ to let me not only see the minister depart, but allow me to live to see his return. There's brothers like us, Akil, Brother Curtis, Brother Khalil, and the Supreme Captain, my main man, Mustafa. We the ones who was around the leader. He coached us, prepared us for a moment that when he leave here, that Farrakhan ain't gone. Farrakhan is in Brother Dennis. I love that man so immensely. And if anyone you know anything about me, they know I love me some Farrakhan. And I taught them to love Farrakhan. And I never try to keep the minister to myself. I try to keep the little believer around the minister as much as I could. I thank every one of you in your kind words. I love you all. Y'all know that. And thank you, Brother Minister Willie, for taking this time to honor me. But Allah not through with me yet. Man, my wife looking at me 14 kid crazy. I can't wait to get well. You can see I'm a little overweight only because I'm taking steroids because of my condition. But as soon as Allah give me the okay, I'm getting off of this, get back down to fighting weight. And I know most people would say, man, you need to chill out. But I want to give you this real story of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. When we was escorting him out that hospital after he came from that 14-hour surgery. And I remember standing next beside him, he was in the wheelchair. And I was looking at the minister at the corner of my eye. And here's a man that was always the rock of Gibraltar to me. But he looked so vulnerable because the minister had lost a little weight. They had this hat on him. He already got a small head. You know how come I know him? Because every hat I put on the minister, I know his head size. And he looked so small, like a little kid in my eyes. And I was looking, and all of the nurses and the medical staff was lined up, greeting him to say goodbye. But they were saying to us, don't you let nothing happen to that man. Y'all protect that man. And I remember, God is my witness. The minister dropped his head down like he was talking under his breath. And I don't know why Allah allowed me to hear it. I do know why Allah allowed me to hear it, so I could be a testimony of it. And his words was, I promise you, Allah, I'm going to work harder in your name. He said, I promise you, Allah, I'm going to work harder in your name. And in my mind, only Allah knew it was my thought. And I said, my God, what manner of man is this? He come out for death's door. He ain't talking about going home and chill with his family. He ain't talking about let these youngins take the nation from here. He's telling the God, I'm going to work harder in your name. I never knew why Allah allowed me to hear that until I got sick, until I had health issues. And I began to remember what he said. And as Brother Ben told the story, he was seeing me look bad that day. Hardly could make it, hardly could walk. But within my mind was what the minister said. I'm going to work harder in your name. And I tried to live up to that. And some days I was down like 4 flat tires, but I didn't care. The minister came to Detroit. And after he came to Detroit, he said, what was you looking for? A decrepit Farrakhan? A man who looked like he was deaf? Here I am. And I said, how can a man who has come through so much that we cry about our little infirmities? If Allah didn't save him, if Allah didn't spare him, then Brother Dennis ain't got a damn chance. No, I thank y'all for this tribute. But there's greater men than me who should have tributes. Allah's not through with me. I love every one of you. Every one of you got a personal story about Captain D. And I wanted to hear a couple of them. I know, Brother Wali Allah, you didn't want to tell that story about that state trooper. But I'm going to tell it anyway. Y'all know y'all got to hear this one. I know you want me to tell it, but I got to tell you. No, don't call me. Don't call me. I ain't going. One time we coming from Pittsburgh. Man, it's late at night. It had to be 2 in the morning. My God, man, coming through Pennsylvania. Brother Minister Hugh Allah was driving. He was lieutenant then. And the state trooper pulled us over. I was half asleep. I mean, one of them Pennsylvania, Montana Peach state trooper. He pulled us over. I seen that big light. I stood up. I was like, oh. And then he come over to the window. And he said, son, talking to Minister Hugh Allah, he said, son, you know how fast you was going? So Brother Minister Hugh Allah said, he's an officer, when the last time you had your radar calibrated? I looked at this dude. I couldn't even spell the name calibrate. I'm like, dude, he asked the police, when the last time you had your radar calibrated? Then I didn't even know Brother Minister Hugh wasn't even a citizen yet. He still had a green card. The man looked at Hugh. He said, can I see your driver's license, buddy? I said, oh, we're going to jail today. We're going to jail today. He looked at Minister Hugh. He said, okay, I'm going to let you go. Man, when we got up that road, Hey, man, I cussed Brother Minister Hugh up all the way up the road, back down the road. Dude, when the last time you have your radar calibrated? He should have said, well, what you doing in our country? Ain't you from Jamaica? But anyway, that's an old story. Now, he would like to change that story every now and then. But my Brother Minister Wali Allah, he like to change that story. But that's one of many. I thank you.
That was right on. That was right on.
But I want to say this.
It sounds like it worked.
Oh, yeah, well, listen. I want to say this. I want to thank every one of you. And Brother Ben, when I say to you and I call you because you are the best we got left, man, in the youth. I threw you out there, yes, sir. I was getting my head cut. I seen them down there chopping your head down there. I said, oh, Lord, let me go down and save this youngin'. You did a good job, though. You did a good job. But he videoed me. Brother Ben videoed me that got over 5 million views. I didn't know it. He posted it. And then he videoed another brother in Philadelphia. And I remember when he showed the video, he says, should I post it, Captain D? I looked and I said, push the button. Now that man got 6 million views. But one of the things that was very important, and I always want to leave on this note, going into 2021, God has given us another chance. And every one of us who are able to see 2021, we pass the test of life. If we're able to talk now, then that's Allah giving us another chance that we not only can correct last year's mistakes, but the mistakes we made yesterday. My goal, family, and I would never let you know I have no other purpose but to make the minister's word bond. He called for 10,000 fearless, and for some people, you think that's over with. No. I think Allah has created the conditions now for us to get that 10,000 fearless in every city. We must protect our women today. We must protect our children today. And look here, family, and we must flatten the curve of the gun violence that has began already the first of the year. We cannot depend on law enforcement. That's our job. And as they deal with police reform, let them deal with police reform. You know what we have to deal with, family? Social reform. We have to take the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad through the minister and give it to our people so our people can change their social behavior that creates the climate for anybody to come in our community and disrespect us. There's no justification for the police to shoot us down. I don't give a doggone what that brother did if he ain't got a weapon. There's no justification we let people come in our community and draw out money out of our community and give us poor quality food and poor quality service, and we accept that. Not in 2021. No. And I love what Brother Ben said, because without real wealth, you would always see a wise broke man or a rich fool. Brother Ben has been able to put the two together, and that's what makes you dangerous, brother. You and Brother Rizza. And I'm saying everywhere these two brothers go, even though he got his own security, it is our duty to protect Brother Ben if he come to our city. If you don't come out here, Brother Ben or Brother Rizza, then you got jealousy in your heart, because they're the ones who are going to take the teaching to the next level. So I say to everyone, when they're in your city, I don't care, you show up. And you flank them like you flanked Brother Captain Dennis, because they are going to be the target of this devil when the departure of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan. And I hope my brother Supreme Captain, not only is he my brother, but it's almost like you said, the FT, we frat brothers. That is the military commander of this mighty army called the Fruit of Islam. He is the military commander. And I pray Allah in his sacrifice and his trials that God would make him be that great man that he was born to be. And I want to be by his side. If the devil think the Nation of Islam is going to be weak when the Honorable Minister Farrakhan leaves, try us. You better bring a lunch, devil, because it ain't going to be no walk in the park. You got a better chance of waking up a lion and a bear in the middle of the winter than to mess with us when the minister departs. There are people that love that man. And I thank you so much. See how I went from 0 to see my wife looking at me? Your blood pressure. But I love you. Thank you, brother minister. Thank you, dear minister, Honorable Minister Farrakhan. Thank you, dear leader, if you see this. Thank you, dear leader. All I ever tried to be is like you. I pray to Allah. I've been that example. Thank y'all. May Allah bless you, man. Thank you, brother minister. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Praise be to Allah. Can you 1 second for the team? Can you all cut to brother Waliullah, brother Captain? This is just an impromptu. We have somebody that's on speakerphone, brother Shaheed. And before he makes his comment, Cap, I'll be sending you a link that the public can watch it too. We have an hour worth of footage of brothers from around the nation talking about your impact on their lives. I'll be sending that to you. Brother Khalil couldn't make it because of some technical issues, but he's sending a video, and we got more videos coming so you can know about the love. So this is another great, and inshallah, I would love to have him on the show, our brother Captain Emeritus as well, right? Shaheed Muhammad.
And we just did a tribute to Brother Shaheed. And of course, they go way back as well, all of us. So, Brother Dennis, I got Brother Shaheed, Brother Student Captain Shaheed Emeritus on the line. Go ahead, Brother Shaheed.
Assalamu alaikum.
Can y'all hear him?
Yes, sir, we can.
We can hear you, Shaheed. Go ahead. Walaikum salam. Walaikum salam.
The great Captain Dennis. Man, it's a blessing that we're alive, and it's a blessing that we're able to hear you talk a whole lot and do what you do. And you was an excellent talker. And I thank you for being the talker, the preacher, the captain, the consistent one, the brother that got my back, and I had to get your back now. And bottom line, it's a blessing that you're here and we're able to do this. And I wish Akil, Curtis, and all of us had been here. Aaron and Majid, all the rest of the brotherhood had been here to say what they needed to say. Dennis is the Dennis. Captain Dennis, Mahdi. Thank you, Brother Dennis, for having the tribute that we could even talk today in this brand new year, 2021. It's good. Lose some weight, though. You know what I'm going to tell you. Lose some weight. You came to my house. You didn't like being at my house because I made you eat 1 meal a day and work out. You ran down there to Hugh and ate breakfast and tried to eat.
Now this is slander. Now you started the slander on the line. I'm going to have to cut you off with the slanderous talk now, Shaheed.
It's all right. Tell the truth. I'm letting you know the truth. You want to run down there to Hugh and eat breakfast. And he said, I'm glad about it. I miss work out every day. You had me working out. You had me. But I loved it. I loved him here. He stayed with me. He was with me. And Hugh, you can't butt in on what I'm saying. I didn't butt in on what you're saying just because you got me on the line. Keep it straight. Now, because I'm going to keep it straight. I ain't going to bite my tongue, nothing like that. This is my brother. This is brotherhood. But everybody got to tell the truth and be real. Dennis is a cold soldier. Cold soldier. They always used to call Dennis for me. Didn't they do that, Dennis? Didn't they call you? What Dennis said?
He must be on mute.
He's on. He's here.
There you go. He can hear you, Shaheed. He want to hear you talk back, D.
I hear you, Shaheed. I hear you.
Don't get scared. I ain't gonna say anything. Don't get scared. It's all right. Don't say Huh?
You know I love you, Shaheed. Thank you, man. Thank you.
You my brother, man. I had to teach you brother. I had to teach you soldier. I had to get this.
But let me say this, Shaheed. The only problem about staying with you is when I went in your refrigerator, it looked like ain't nothing in there. All you were doing was growing stuff. Anything in there was like a tree growing. I said, no, I can't eat all. There's nothing stuff in here.
Right.
But thank you, Shaheed. You always been about our health. You always been, and I thank you so much. You have been consistent with that, Brother Shaheed. But I promise you, man, I'm getting myself ready this year. You'll be proud of me, man. Believe me.
Man, I'm really proud.
Praise be to Allah. Praise be to Allah. But I'm
the soldiers you done trained their blood existence, living, and be able to train more. You need to train.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So thank you all. Thank you all. We thank our brother for his words. And also, you all don't see them, brothers and sisters, but we have some people behind the show that when you see these slides and you see all this stuff going on, want to give our sister Kenya and our brother Musa. Thank you all for what you're doing, because anytime we have more than one guest is a challenging thing, but they rose up to the actual occasion. So as we get ready to close, I just want to go over our closing announcements. As you all know, that we are in the process here in the city of New Orleans, working to pay off our mosque mortgage. So when the flyer, when it comes up, anything that you can give to help us in regards to helping us to pay off our mosque mortgage, we will greatly appreciate that. We thank you. Whatever it is that you can give, you can share the flyer, whatever, we will greatly appreciate that. And then also, we're in this COVID where everybody is still going on. As Honorable Mr. Louis Farrakhan said, that it will actually increase, right? And it has been increasing. So if there's anybody that you need us to pray to on the behalf of them, please submit their names to us via email, via social media. We will add them to our prayer group here locally. And then also, inshallah, God willing, on next Sunday, we're going to have our brother who's a member of the research team. Our brother Demetric Muhammad will be here, inshallah, on next Sunday at 1 p.m. on I Have a Testimony. So as we get ready to close, I want to thank those who are working the boards. We appreciate your time and your patience. I want to thank Brother Captain Dennis for his words. Thank all of our panelists, Brother Ben, Brother Norman, Brother Waliullah. And I thank everybody who made a comment and showed Captain Dennis love, and everybody who even sent something via Cash App. So thank you. This is your brother. Thank you for tuning in to I Have a Testimony. Please share your thoughts with us in the comment section as you have been doing. Follow NNV. Go to NNV on YouTube, NNV, National Network View, and subscribe. I need you to hit that subscribe button on NNV. Please go and subscribe. So this is your brother Willie Muhammad with National Network View. Peace.
God came to us.
Peace.
To seek and to save that which was lost. He raised a man from among us. He, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, laid the foundation. What I'm doing is something that comes from him through me, and the thing that he uses in me to do the work is my faith in him and the word that he taught. To produce men and women who wanted to clean up their life and build an independent nation for the glory of God.
Be a part of the force that powers truth in journalism. Your support helps to combat false media. Cash App NNV News.